Today we are talking to Marty, and he recently moved to Winter Springs, Florida, which is in Central Florida. When exactly did you move here?
It was in July of last year.
So just a little over a year.
A little over a year, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think so far?
It's been good. I did live here about 20 years before, so it wasn't total shock, but it has changed. The town has changed pretty good in 20 years.
You want to elaborate a little?
Well, I was a youth pastor at a church here 20-something years ago, and of course, driving down the road now, I see my former youth that are now married and with children, and that makes me feel terrible old. But I mean, obviously it's changed. I drove around my old neighborhood the other day and just to reminisce over the past, and I hardly recognized it. I mean, it's grown a lot.
You kind of moved here for work-ish, yes. But you weren't like a forced move here. You kind of had the choice to move here.
Yeah,
too,
it was
right?
a choice. It's kind of give you just a quick history on this. I was serving in the Houston, Texas area as an executive pastor, and my daughter, who lives in Lakeland, another one lives in Chattanooga. I got to give them both props.
Credit here.
But the one that was living in Lakeland, her husband is going through brain cancer. He has brain cancer, and I wanted to be closer to them and kind of walk that journey with them. So I just prayed that God would put me back in the Central Florida area, and He did. He was good. He got me that. So it wasn't a forced thing. It wasn't. But at the same time, I was wanting to come over here as quickly as I could.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the moving process, because you saw some houses like through video and moving from far away.
For me, it was. I've moved a lot in my life, but I've never moved where I was sight unseen, I guess you'd say. On this situation, all I had was a really, really great real estate agent and a lot of good videos and information back and forth. And because I didn't come here, it was all online.
Can you dive a little deeper on buying through video?
Yeah.
Like, did it? Again, I will not take offense, so feel free to be honest.
No. I'll tell you, be as transparent. I'm not a technical guy, so the whole, I had to get my daughter in Chattanooga to kind of be my interpreter, when even as simple as things as scanning things and sending them back and forth, but it wasn't that difficult. I mean, I would scan a bunch of new houses. You would send me an email every day, and 6 new homes to look at, that kind of thing. And I believe in our process. I only had a bid on one before I actually found the one that I wanted. So, and I liked the one the first one too. But it was a crazy time back then to make an offer and then to find out there's 20 other people that have made offers. I'm not used to that, into the old negotiating thing, but it was as painless as it could be.
You were here for the inspection, or we did that through video as well?
Yeah,
that was through video
yes,
too. That's right, it was. So that you were pretty comfortable with too overall?
I was, yeah. I mean, I went back and forth, again, the communication was really, really good. I appreciated that. I did not, buying a house, there's always a little headache to that kind of stuff, but for the most part, it was, because we were on a pretty quick timetable too, if you remember.
We were.
I mean, again, it wasn't I gotta go, but by the time I realized that I found a job much quicker than I thought I would, and so it kind of put us under a quick timetable, and but the process went really well. Other than me trying to, get updated on technology, I think it was really good.
You did well. You did just fine. And we were just talking about you like driving. You drove here, correct?
Oh yeah.
And you didn't have like a moving company or anything, if I recall.
No, it was.
You just came.
Yeah, I came. I had a bunch of my buddies from my church where I came from. It was kind of, the old 2-man in a truck. It was more like 6 church buddies and me. And I came first. I have a little 2-seater sports car, so I couldn't put more than some files in my car, but they came later with a U-Haul, and I'm by myself, so and I also I'm kind of one of those guys that I like to sell most of the stuff that I have when I move, and then come and then just start fresh. And this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home. So when I got here, my other daughter Anna, that lives here in the Central Florida area, she bought all my furniture, measured everything out, and had that done for me. So I had a good real estate agent, and I have 2 good daughters. So that really, they pampered me well.
Let's talk about likes and not likes in Central Florida. Do you want to do the positives first? I know you've lived here before, but is there anything you're kind of feel like, yeah, I'm glad I'm back in Central Florida, or like, glad I'm back in Orlando?
Well, coming from Houston, the weather's basically the same. I mean, it's hotter, and they told me the older I would get, the more I'd appreciate hot, not cold. But I think my body's the opposite. I think I could move to Montana or something, or Minnesota, and be more comfortable with the weather. So the weather is a little, I don't think I'll ever wear a jacket here. I guess that's good or bad, but I love the area. I mean, Central Florida has so many. I remember from the days when I was here before with my small children back then. So many things to do, so many things to offer. And I like to fish, and of course there's so many lakes, as well as, deep sea fishing. So there's so many things all within about an hour and a half away. That's the great part that I love. I don't know much negative as far as, it wasn't a culture shock to me because I'd lived here before, other than it's a little more congested than it was.
And we're in Winter Springs. I can't remember if I said that. We're in Seminole County, kind of northeast of downtown. Yeah.
And I mean, traffic in this general area it's not that big a deal. I mean, nothing to complain of, So I've already learned when the most people go to work in the mornings, and I can have the luxury of going before or after that. So that's not a big issue. So I don't really have a lot or anything really to complain about.
How long does it take you most times to get to Lakeland? About an hour?
Everything depends on Highway 4. There's a 40-mile stretch on Highway 4, and I have made it in, I'm embarrassed to say, my car kind of can go fast. I've made it in less than an hour, but then sometimes it takes 3 hours. It all depends on that wonderful Highway 4.
Is there anything you miss about Texas?
I've lived in 7 different cities in the past 35, 40 years, and some are small towns in Mississippi, some Atlanta, some, I've lived in big cities, small cities, whatever. My home is my church, and so I'm happy when I'm in a church family. So I was happy in Houston in a church family, and I'm happy here with the Saints.
You're happy every time I see you. Right? You're always happy.
Sense of humor is very important.
Is there anything you feel you want to add? Like any advice you'd give to anyone moving here, or thoughts?
For what I was looking for and what I wanted, this is the place. It's the right size. It's the right location. As far as it's less than 10 minutes from my church, and I go back and forth sometimes 3 and 4 or 5 times a day. So it's good to be not very far from where you work. So
I think that's huge in Orlando. Really is to not have a huge. I mean, I guess it depends on the person. Some people are used to commuting an hour to work.
And sometimes that's necessary. I understand that.
Anything else that you want to, any knowledge or wisdom you want to impart with to the world here? Or?
Well, I know that we're talking about moving from out of state and stuff. I know I'm sure there's horror stories and all that, but mine was, even though it was a really short period of time, and it was there was very little event, involved in drama, I guess you'd say, and not only, I'm ragging on Kristin herself, but her whole team. I mean, all the way up, to the people once they handed the baton to the people that were doing the banking part of it. Some of them still keep up with me, and props goes to you guys.
Thank you
on that. So I would recommend giving her a holler. Let her know. Because I highly do recommend when she was asking about this. I volunteered just because I wanted to do that.
Thank you, Marty.
You're
I
welcome.
so appreciate
You're welcome.
it.